Hi, good everybody. Welcome to another session on Counselor University. My name is Emenne Ifeanyi, and today we are going to be looking at how to build an intelligent and wise team in your business. Now, basically for us as counselor, why do I think it's important for us to build a wise and intelligent team? Sometime last year, I noticed that 80% of our revenue was coming from just two of our clients. Now, what that meant was that if anything happens and we lost those two clients, it means that we're almost out of business. Now, I've also studied recently what we've been doing, and now the danger to I'm saying. So what we tried to do after that time, what I discovered was that we worked to build more customers, and that was why we have gotten a significant number of client base. But I've also noticed something too in the course of doing what we are doing. And what I've noticed was that about 90% of our clients are still coming through me. Now, in any business where a huge chunk of their business is coming from one person, it means that there's a danger that if anything happens to that particular person, the business goes off. Now, and is what's the way we can actually prevent it, the way any business can prevent the death of that business, is to ensure that the business is not dependent on one or two people. Which means as much as you are working to ensure that your business does not depend on one or two customers, it's also very important for you to ensure that your business does not depend on one or two staff. And which is why, if you notice, anywhere I'm going, most times I try to go with at least 2 or 3 of you guys, so that in any situation, at any circumstance, when I'm not there, you guys can actually do what I do. Now, a lot of businesses are failing. A lot of businesses are struggling because the owners make most of the key decisions. And if there are situations that arises and those business owners are not there, what happens to the business? The business goes down. Now, I just came back from Aba, and I noticed that because we have made our client in Aba's business to depend less on him, his business grew by more than 150% just last year. Now, why would this happen? Is because the load of running the business is no longer solely on the managing director. And the way to do this is to ensure that you are building a wise and intelligent team. And how do you build a wise and intelligent team? Number one is to get your people to actually, as they are going out, as they're looking at the environment, they are studying to ask themselves what is working. And which is why, if you notice that most time when we are doing anything, I always ask you, what do you think from this? Now, when you challenge people to say, give their own opinion, with time, they start to think. But most importantly, the area I want us to focus on is wisdom is something that you actively search. 2 wise men, 3 wise women can build a solid, strong organization that can last. But if you don't have a system that traces wisdom within your organization, once whoever is carrying the load of that organization is taken out, that business collapses. And which is why, if you notice in most of our clients, one of the key things that we try to do is to ensure that at any particular point, the load of generating more customers is being stripped out aside from the MD and the CEO. And which is one of the things that once you start to do, helps organizations to grow faster and grow rapidly. Now, how do you become wiser? How do you become more intelligent? If you guys notice, one of the things I've done with you guys is to ensure that everybody has one book that they are reading. And like I told you people, by the end of this month, I expect an assessment of what you've read from that book. And which is why I've been deploying people to actually run some of these trainings. Because I know that it has to get to a stage whereby I can actually step back, and most of this training that we do can actually be run by you guys. If a business owner cannot multiply himself in the people who are working with him, it means that that business cannot actually grow. the essence of what I'm doing in taking you guys along, in actually exposing people to almost all the top transactions we are doing, is that at any particular point, when I'm not there, when the CEO is not there, the business on its own, you guys can actually run things and drive the business. And which is why in any organization you go to work in, you need to ask yourself, as I finish working here, what did I learn? If you have noticed, at any particular meeting that we are going to, I have a jotter. And after every meeting, after every interaction, I sit and ask myself, what did I learn from this CEO? This person that I met today, this people that I interacted with, what did I learn from them? Now, if you don't have a system that you actively are asking yourself, what did you learn? Then the wisdom from the daily interaction you're having with people, you cannot sift it out. And if you're not sifting it out, there's no way you can actually multiply wisdom in your organization. And which is why they say iron sharpeneth iron. And for it to happen, we need to actually expose ourselves to top organizations that are actually doing things, people who we want to be like. And when we expose ourselves to people like that, we now need to ask ourselves, what are the things that we are learning from them? And how, one of the ways we also build an effective, a wise and intelligent organization is by putting structure and organization in place. What do I mean by this? I just came back 2 days ago, and I went to my wardrobe, and I noticed that 2/3 of the clothes there were no longer in my wardrobe. And I asked myself, what happened to my clothes? She said that she went through them and saw the ones she felt I was not using and the ones she didn't want me to use anymore, and she packed them out. Now, what that showed me was that when I looked at it, I saw that my wardrobe was more organized. But it also reminded me of what I did about 2 weeks ago. I brought out all the documents that filled about 3 drawers in my house. I decided to go through these documents. At the end of the day, 90% of those documents were no longer relevant. But these were documents that have been there for more than 3 years. And also just last week, I went to the office of a very top lawyer, and on his table were filled with stacks of paper. And when I looked at some of them, some of the newspapers there have been on those tables for about, you can see about 2 years newspaper there on his table. The table was so clustered that he didn't have anywhere to work on. And I asked myself, can this guy be productive? He had opportunity to grow, but the way your environment is clustered is the way your mind will be clustered. And if your mind is clustered, there's no way you can be wise and intelligent. Which means if I come to your work table now, if I come to our office, how organized is it? Organization is critical to success of any system. If we start to organize our settings, if we start to organize our day, it will ensure that our productivity here will jump. Like our productivity in any organization jumps when there's organization systems and structures in place. And the first things to do is that on a daily basis, organize your day. On a weekly basis, organize your week. For this week, for instance, we need to say these are the things we want to achieve this week. And when you say these are the things we need to achieve this week, we organize everything we are doing towards achieving those goals. But if we don't do that every week, we keep repeating the same mistakes. Because if there are any mistakes that we made last week and we don't plan towards organizing our system to avoid those same mistakes, this week we actually make those same mistakes. So I need to also understand that we need to actually start to work to become wiser and intelligent in what we are doing. That is the only way we can actually grow this organization. Because like I said, I shared the vision of this organization with us, just like any business owner will share the vision of his business with his staff. And when you share the vision, the next thing is, what system and structure do you need to put in place to ensure that those visions are achieved? And the first thing, the fundamental thing is, number one, let's organize our table. Let's organize our day. Let's organize our week. You know, I look at the number of people who were supposed to do recruitment for, the people we've not done for. The ones that we even have done, how organized, how structured are they? The staff we are managing, the clients that we are managing, how consistent are we in flowing them up? These are critical things that when we organize and put structures in play, we know that every day you're supposed to make this number of calls. Now, you know, if you look at what we've been achieving with customer, for instance, you can see the drastic jump they are having in their sales. The jumps are happening because we now have a system of following them up every day. Somebody does every day, because you know that somebody is going to check up on your productivity today. You are forced to actually work harder today than you did yesterday. It's why I want each and every one of us to actually restructure our table. I want us to say, this week, these are the things I'm going to achieve. These are the things I'm going to do this week. That is how to be wise and intelligent. And which is why I said, the books I gave to us. The reason why I gave each and every one of us a book, which is why, see, every business owner who doesn't deliberately develop his team members, there's no way that company can grow. I'm growing you people by giving you this assignment because I know that I want to get to a stage whereby I can step back and then the structure of the business can actually be handled by you guys. Business growth is not rocket science. Business growth is about developing people around you to be wise and intelligent. And wisdom and intelligence comes from people actively training their mind. People actually actively asking themselves every day, what did we learn from today? What are the new things that we're going to practice today? And most importantly, planning out your week. Every week, we need to sit down and ask ourselves, this week, this month, what do we want to achieve? It's not about just counting 24 hours and we're running in circles. We need to say this week, these are the things that we need to achieve. So that at the end of each week, we can assess your performance based on the target that we've set for you. If, for instance, we're supposed to do 100 interviews this week, at the end, by Thursday, we ask ourselves, how many have we done? If we're supposed to do about 2 trainings, for instance, we need to ask ourselves, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, the trainings that we did, what were the qualities of this training? Last week, I got a call from the MD of a pharmaceutical company that wants us to come and train their management staff this week. Now, if we don't have that into our system and we prepare for it, then at the end of the day, we'll just do the training and go. But we can't assess how productive has that training been. How effective is it in turning around the lives of these people? Which is one of the areas too I've told us guys, people who buy our book, it's not about people buying the books. It's about us also ensuring that they are reading these books. And when we start that, we can actually see that their business are turning around. That is what should give us joy. That is what will grow our business. Because it's when these people are doing better, that is when we can say we've achieved so much. Businesses grow when there's system and structure. And most important, when they are organization. Organization involves structuring your day, cleaning out your table every day. Organization, running an effective organization means every day intelligently asking yourself, what difference did we make today? Did we learn anything new? Did we contribute anything new? So, as we go into the meeting for today, I want to assess our performance for the week. I want you now to think of, okay, from Monday last week to Friday last week, these are the things I achieved. So we'll run it for everybody and we'll know what contribution did each and every one of us make to the growth of this company. Because it's by the contribution of everybody that we can assess that the company grew or it retrogressed. So I want us on a weekly basis to be assessing ourselves. What contribution? And the way to assess is this. What goals did we set for the week? What structure do we set towards achieving that goal? And what effort are we making to ensure that what we say we will do within the week, that we are doing it? And most importantly, what effort have we made to improve ourselves? The books that we've given to read, we need to account for it. This book, this is what we learn from it. And like I said, I've been deliberately exposing you guys to high management systems. Most management meetings I go to, I go with you people because I want the way I think, I want to actually see you people think that way. That is how to build a solid organization. So that when the MD is not there, when the leader is not there, he is sure that the things he would have done every other people are doing it. And most importantly, I want within the next 6 months, I don't want to be contributing more than 40% to the number of clients that we get. So I want it now to drop from 90% to less than 40%, which means you guys need to now know how to actually start to get these clients. Which means the trainings that we are now doing online, you guys will actually start to do it. I don't want to be the only one doing it. That is how you grow your organization. So we'll go into the meeting, and for those who want to also join our upcoming training, you can check our social media platforms, Counselor University, or you can also reach us on our any of our mobile number that will be appearing on the video below, and just give us a shout out, and one of our staff will reach across to you. Thank you, and God bless.